Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for stealing my friend's engagement ring back from his ex? Good afternoon, this is my first post here, so apologies for any mistakes and my bad English. My friend Jakub proposed to his fiancée, Magdalena, a few weeks ago. He gave her the same ring his dad used, and his granddad, and great-granddad. So you see, it's a very important jewelry for the family. It is golden and has a big blue gem in it. Magdalena had an affair and Jakub broke up with her. However, Magdalena refuses to give the ring back. She claims that since he gave her the gift, it's hers now to keep. This is really messed up in my opinion, and I wanted to help my friend out. I was invited to a party and Magdalena was there. I told Magdalena I would give her 100 zloty if she could put a beer bottle in every one of her fingers and hold them. She took off the ring to do so, and when she did, I took it and left. She found me and said I was a thief, and I owe her the ring back. Her friends cursed at me and they were all being really rude. I just left the bar and went home. Magdalena then went on to Facebook and complained, saying I stole her jewelry and how much of a thief I am. I responded to her post and explained what happened, so she then took the post down. She however, won't stop contacting me about the ring, so I blocked her. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, I'm glad you got the ring back. It was a family heirloom and she needed to give it back. Reminds me of TV court case where the woman was forced to give the ring back after cheating. Right? My cousin tried to keep a ring after breaking an engagement, and after talking to a lawyer she realized she had to give it back. Engagement rings come with a promise/commitment to marry. If for whatever reason that commitment is not followed through, the ring is owed back to the buyer/giver. Not the a-hole OP. There can be a legal caveat depending on who broke it off. If the proposer is the one to call off the wedding, the ring might still legally belong to the one proposed to. Still, cheating on a dude not long after getting engaged and trying to keep a family heirloom? Legalities aside, that is an a-hole move. Not the a-hole. Legally, you're a thief. Morally, you're Robin Hood. Don't forget to give the ring back to your friend. Legally he might not be a thief. Depending on jurisdiction, engagement rings are considered conditional gifts that have to be returned if the engagement is broken off. Etiquette treats engagement rings differently than other gifts. Engagement rings are supposed to go back to the giver because they are conditional gifts, like conditional on marriage. It actually doesn't even matter why they broke up or where the ring came from, engagement rings get returned. I'm saying not the a-hole. This is inaccurate. Family heirlooms have to be returned in all cases. Rings which were bought have to be returned only if the fiancé, woman, is the one who broke the engagement off. If the guy changed his mind and no longer wants to get married, or if he cheated or lied and the woman decides to break off the engagement because of it, she can keep it. In case of conflict, the judges will follow these criteria. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my engagement ring to late fiancé's brother? I, 27 female, am really conflicted regarding my decision. Me and my late fiancé, Alex, were together for about 12 years. We were high school sweethearts. We were engaged for around 3 years when he passed away due to an accident, in the beginning of 2020. I was really close with his family before everything happened. Once he died, spending time with him was only hurting me with what could have been. I moved to the other side of the city to be closer to my new job, and I still talk to them but not as much as before. Few weeks ago, Alex's brother, Ben, came to visit me. He is planning to propose to his girlfriend. I was very happy for him. He asked me if he could have the family's engagement ring. The ring Alex gave me was a family ring which had been in the family for generations. Alex's mom gave him the ring when he proposed to me, as he was the eldest son. I have been wearing this ring for almost 3 years. It's a symbol that Alex wanted to spend the rest of his life with me. It represents our relationship to me. I conveyed the same, and Ben lost his calm and he was telling me about how it's his family ring, and that it belongs to him now that Alex is dead. I told him to get out. I called Alex's mom to let her know why I wanted to keep the ring. She told me she wouldn't have minded if I had been married to Alex. But I wasn't, so I am not a part of the family, and therefore I should return the ring. She also told me that since I am young, I am going to move on and that it's unfair to hold on to a ring that I will never wear again, especially a ring that belonged to her family for generations. It belongs to the family, and not me or Alex, as Alex didn't buy it. I would have at least considered giving back the ring if few years had passed and I had moved on. I just can't bear the thought of parting with this ring now. So, I told her that I am sorry she felt that way, but Alex gave me this ring and I am not giving it back, and promptly hung up. Ben and his mom are spamming my phone with messages and calls about how I am trying to steal their family ring. They obviously think I am an a-hole. Edit: At first it was just a matter of civil disagreement, but as time goes, it's getting more heated and lot more yelling and crying from both sides. So, am I the a-hole? Edit: As I mentioned in the post, I am not saying that I will never return the ring. I am just saying I am not ready to return it now. Everyone sucks here / no a-holes here. Both sides have reasons for wanting the ring, but I know I'll be downvoted. I think you should give the ring back. It's a family heirloom and they want to keep it in the family. The fact they said that means they don't consider you family. Do you really still want a relationship with them after hearing that? I wouldn't after being slapped in the face, and I wouldn't keep the ring even despite them either. The harassment would not be worth it and it would cement the end of any positive relationship with them. Edit: Bot said I had to pick one choice. I still say both are valid, but leaning towards no a-holes here. OP is not the a-hole because they said they are willing to give the ring back after they are ready to move on. I agree, this is one of those weird situations where both everyone and no one sucks. None of you are acting particularly rationally because of your joint recent loss. If it wasn't a family heirloom, it would be completely out of line for them to ask for it back, but it is, and they probably have at least some legal claim on it. I'd give it back, since I'm sure OP has other things to remember him by. Things that he picked out for her, or they picked out together, that are more meaningful to who they were as their own little family, not an extension of his. I'm going with no a-holes here. I understand both sides, but in all honesty, you need to give the ring back. It's a family heirloom and unfortunately due to circumstances beyond your control, you are not part of that family. This is all clearly still very raw, and I understand you not being ready to let it go, but perhaps you could have discussed that with his mother. I am not ready yet, but please know that in time I will return the ring. I just need time to grieve. This way you are not shutting them down and they would likely be open to it. Legally, they can bring in action against you and most likely would win. I'm sure no one wants that kind of hurt to be piled on the hurt you are already feeling. Emotions are raw right now. I think you all have valid points and just need a moment to reset and discuss a compromise. It depends on the state. Some consider an engagement ring an unconditional gift, some don't. You're the a-hole, gently. So sorry for your loss. You were together for a long time. You are grieving and they are too, and grief makes you do crazy stuff. It is my understanding though, not sure where you are from, that the ring is actually part of a contract, and if not fulfilled by marriage, the ring has been legally determined to be rights of giver not recipient, as the marriage never took place. In this case, mother was actually the owner of ring and gave it with the intent of you marrying her son. As that expectation was not fulfilled, she is asking for it back. You want to keep it as a reminder of your relationship, but you have 12 years worth of stuff to remind you also. The cards, pictures, jewelry you probably bought together. This is a family heirloom that should stay in their family. You are their family too as to how long you were together, but by not being married, there is a lot of legal argument here with the ring. Just give it back. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not offering a family heirloom ring to the daughter who got married first? I have two daughters, Claire and Emma, who have never gotten along well. Claire was the rebellious one growing up, hated any type of societal expectations, and Emma was much more conventional. Claire began dating her now husband when she went away to college, and the first time she brought him home, my husband was not happy. He had black nail polish and a streak in his hair. I actually had a conversation with my husband about how he can't be such a pompous a-hole, and he is going to drive Claire away. Neither of us like her husband, but we try to bite our tongues. He did not ask my husband for her hand in marriage, and when they told us they were engaged, she already had a ring. Emma also met her husband in college, and he was much more clean-cut and someone my husband would approve of. Emma's fiancé came to us before he proposed and asked permission. This did endear him more to my husband, and my husband told him that he had a family heirloom ring he had received in his mother's will, and if he wanted to use it for Emma, he could. It is a very expensive ring, and it was left to my husband on the condition I never wear it. Long story, mother-in-law hated me. He did offer it to me, but it didn't feel right. Emma's fiancé accepted the ring, and Claire found out and thinks that we punished her for making different choices, being with a man we don't like, and not going along with a sexist tradition. I feel like it was my husband's ring to do what he wanted, and since Claire's husband didn't tell us before he proposed, she already had a ring and we are not playing favorites. Now for the top comments. He had black nail polish and a streak in his hair. I don't know how you both got through that. What a trying time. You're the a-hole for favoring one daughter over another. Not everyone is clean-cut and follows the same path. Why don't you like Claire's husband? You didn't really explain that. What is the father going to do? Split the ring in half? If Claire got the ring, I'd say Emma would be pissed and you'd still call the father an a-hole. You're the a-hole for expecting your sons-in-law to ask permission to marry your daughters. The only permission they need is from the women they are marrying. You do not own your daughters. Also, you're the a-hole for not even offering the ring to the first daughter to wed. It smacks of favoritism. She already had one, why would he offer her another? This is a tricky one. Not the a-hole in terms of being able to do whatever you want with your own property. Light, you're the a-hole for playing favorites. Wearing black nail polish and having a streak in his hair is hardly reason to hate on the guy, though you haven't gone into detail about how he is a pompous butt. Also, asking for a daughter's hand in marriage is a bit of a conservative tradition. My partner would have been annoyed at me if I did this. I was calling my husband a pompous a. My husband wears a suit and tie every day, and for the first 15 years of our marriage, at least only took it off to go to bed, thinks he's better than everyone else because he makes a lot of money, and was very condescending to her boyfriend. The next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting my fiancé's mother's engagement/wedding ring? My partner of 3 years proposed earlier this month. He didn't have a ring when he proposed, but he told me he had already arranged for a ring set, so engagement and wedding ring, but the rings weren't ready yet and he had to pick it up when they were. He's picked them up today, and they're his mother's rings. If I was close with his mother, or if his mother had passed and he wanted to remember her, then I'd be fine with this, and probably even touched at the notion, but his mother is very much alive, and very much a pain in my butt. She hates me. Always has, probably always will. She's never had a good opinion of me, and I've never sought her good opinion either, which is part of why she has such a poor opinion of me. She's giving us the rings is because my fiancé's parents have recently divorced, so she just doesn't need them anymore. The rings themselves are kind of to my taste, but the relationship dynamic at play here has completely put me off them. I'm not a shallow or superficial person, I don't think, but I would really like a ring, and I would like one with a less loaded history. I explained this as gently and carefully as I could to my fiancé, who got upset, saying that these are his parents' rings, they're family heirlooms, and he wants them to be passed down to our kids one day. I responded that maybe the rings could skip a generation, me, and still go to our kids, as there wouldn't be such a loaded relationship attached to the ring for them, or maybe we could just let his mother pass them down herself. He's responded that these are the rings he wants to use. I've said that's fine, I just won't wear a ring. He's now upset as he feels that they're just rings, and I shouldn't be attaching so many negative connotations just because of the origin. He doesn't feel I made an effort, as I never even tried the rings on, and that I'm being manipulative by not even trying it and refusing out of principle/spite. I talked to my brother about it and he sided with my fiancé, saying they're just metal bands and I'm the one attaching negative meaning to them, and this means a lot to my fiancé, and that if I can't compromise here, we have no business getting married. Not the a-hole, this is more than about the rings, they carry negative emotions because of how his mother treats you. I'm surprised he thought this would be a good idea. R/just no mother-in-law. He should have discussed this with you beforehand. As the comment below suggested, R/just no significant other is a good place for you. If they're just rings, then why is he so insistent that these particular rings have to be her wedding set? Not the a-hole. He can say they are now family heirlooms and attach positive value on them and get mad at you for attaching negative value to them because of your relationship with their original owner. Engagement/wedding rings are literally a meaningful symbol, so they should mean a lot to both of you and both be something you love. If your fiancé won't be happy with any other ring and he is aware of your relationship with your mother, then I think you have a different problem where the two of you aren't aligned and understanding of each other's views. Yes, they can't just be metal bands and family heirlooms. It's one or the other. Not the a-hole, and it's funny how they're just rings only works one way. If they're just meaningless pieces of metal, why didn't your fiancé just strip the paper off some twist ties and use those? If the history of the rings doesn't matter, why not just get new ones? Your fiancé had a nice image in his mind, but sometimes we have to let these things go when reality doesn't quite cooperate. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to share a family heirloom? I saw a post with a somewhat similar situation to something I'm going through right now on here recently, so I wanted to post about my situation too. Sorry if this feels repetitive. When my parents got married, my dad's family gifted my mom with some expensive jewelry that had been in the family for decades. This included a set of sapphire earrings which she wore on her wedding day. Their marriage ended after 2 years, when my mom discovered my father had a 3-year-old daughter, Lily, with another woman. My parents had been dating for 7+ years before they finally tied the knot. For context, my father insisted my mom keep the jewelry, but she ended up returning it to my grandma. My mom found out she was pregnant with me during the divorce, but she wouldn't give him a second chance. My dad has been an active role in both mine and Lily's life, but he has always intentionally pit us against one another. Her mother has also fueled this feud between us. Lily has also had a bad relationship with our extended family, due to lies her mother would tell her about them growing up. We've both seen these sapphire earrings before when visiting my grandma, but neither of us ever tried to make a claim for them. When I was 16, my grandma gave me all of the jewelry she had previously gifted to my mother, including the earrings. She said she still loved my mother like her daughter and wished she had kept them, and since it would have all passed to me one day anyway, she wanted me to have it all. Note, my mom returned it before she found out she was pregnant. As far as I know, Lily/my dad didn't know about this. Fast forward and Lily, now 27, is getting married. My grandma has since passed away. She asked my aunt, who inherited the remainder of the jewelry, if she could borrow the earrings. My aunt was confused and said there were no such earrings. Lily kept insisting she had seen them, and eventually my dad showed my aunt a wedding picture of my mom to point out the earrings. My aunt is one of the few other people who knew grandma gave me them, so she informed them of this. Lily called me up and demanded I return the earrings to my aunt, since they were legally hers. I refused. I later called my aunt to ask if she wanted the jewelry back, and she laughed and said it was mine, and that Lily was being a spoiled brat as always and we shouldn't enable her. The next few days Lily started to beg me to borrow the earrings, but from her past behavior, I know if I allow her to, I will never get them back. I'm planning to use them for my own wedding one day. My dad eventually called me to demand I give them to her. He said he wanted his firstborn to have his family's jewelry, and that I wasn't entitled to it. He said my mother gave away the right to his family's jewelry away when she divorced him, and he didn't want her daughter keeping any of it. I was really hurt, and I ended up blocking them both. Am I the a-hole for continuing to refuse? Now for the top comments. He didn't want her daughter keeping any of it. Not the a-hole. That was a very low blow from dad there. What a cruel man. They were never Lily's, grandma would have given them to her if she wanted her to have them. What grandma says goes in my opinion. Her dad has no say whatsoever. Grandma gave you the earrings, right? The earrings are yours. Simple and plain. Not the a-hole. If I were you, I'd put them away somewhere for safekeeping. Screw your dad and screw Lily. Not the a-hole. Your grandmother, the actual owner of the jewelry, gifted it to you prior to her death, and now it is legally yours. Your sister and father sound a bit terrible to be putting you in such a position, and maybe letting your father know that your grandmother gave them directly to you and not your mother, might stop his complaints. I would get a safety deposit box, put all the jewelry in there and make certain your father has no idea or access. Good luck. He knows, he just doesn't care. And that's it for this video guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day everyone.